welcome to the Motion Picture Notion. I'm your host, Gabriel Burton, and today I'm going to talk about Kindergarten Cop 2. It's actually on Netflix now if you guys want to check it out. Well, I have to say that I deliberately watched this movie last night because I wanted to do, I don't know, just kind of a review where I like really ripped something apart. I'm not going to rip this movie apart, but it's not a good movie. It starts out with sort of like, there's this mob boss. He's an Albanian mob boss called Alexander Zogu. Zogu? Yeah. Alexander Zogu. I actually took notes on this movie. Essentially, like, you know, the Dolph Lundgren character is like undercover and, you know, he busts him, but there's also like this flash drive with all this evidence that, you know, used to belong to one of the teachers, and it's got like a bunch of shit from like the FBI database on it or whatever. I don't really remember why it was in the hands of this teacher. I was drinking when I was watching this movie, but anyways, that's the plot. So this thing has to be found, this flash drive, and it's somewhere in the school. So Dolph Lundgren then has to go undercover. The thing with the original Kindergarten Cop that made it really funny was that Arnold Schwarzenegger was like, he was good at what he did. He was good at like the ass kicking and stuff. And when he went to the classroom with the kindergarten kids, he was literally just out of his depth. Like, he was a fish out of water, and even his partner said those kids are going to eat you alive. And that's what made it funny, because it's like you'd think that this guy who, you know, breaks people's heads for a living, you know, would have no problem dealing with these kids, but they're all a bunch of little fucking monsters. Now, I will say that in Kindergarten Cop 2, the roles kind of were reversed. The kids were smart. I mean, they were still annoying, but they were smarter, and Dolph Lundgren was the idiot. He's reading them, like, a story that's, you know, about tolerance and stuff like that, and he's like, and when he's done with it, he's like, what is this? This is a bunch of liberal BS. It's like, dude, it's like, you're a cop. You're like a detective. You go undercover. I mean, like, I understand it was supposed to be funny, but it just made him come across like a real idiot, and it felt really forced. The kids in this movie were actually, well, a little too smart. They knew, like, the scientific Latin name of, like, a guinea pig. And their parents gave them all, like, green vegetables, and they couldn't have anything with white sugar in it and stuff like that. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? And they should have made a joke about the obesity problem. And trust me, okay? I work for an establishment, okay, that makes, like, smoothie-like drinks. You would be surprised at the, like, pre-diabetic shock fucking drinks that parents will get for their children. It's ridiculous. Yeah, no, society's not that good. And then going on with him being kind of a dumbass teacher, he brings them a box of cookies one day, and he allows the class to literally just, like, monster the entire box of cookies. So then they all start, like, running around, and they start playing some stupid rendition of I Want Candy, and I'm, like, watching this, and, you know, I'm turning the volume down a little bit. So anyways, when he first gets the job, he has an interview with, like, the dean, who is a pretty decent-looking woman. And, I mean, you know, I thought that she and Dolph Lundgren, they were gonna be the, you know, romantic element of the movie. But no, sexy, like, 25-year-old teacher pokes her head around the corner. Oh, hi. It's a movie. So, at a certain point in the movie, Dolph Lundgren encounters two of Alex Zogu's, you know, thugs on the street. And these are the most, like, indiscreet fucking thugs I've ever seen in my life. They come up to him in broad daylight, and they literally, like, say to him, like, we're going to kill you now, you know? So Dolph Lundgren beats the shit out of both of them. This goes like, have a nice day, gentlemen. And he steps into his car and drives away. It's like, arrest them? They literally came up to you and said, we are going to kill you. Arrest them! The fuck? Then there's this whole part in the movie where his partner is sort of like coaching him on what is now societally acceptable, and that was kind of lame and not really funny. I guess it was cute. Like, at one point, Dolph Lundgren tells him, like, hey guys, come on, sit down Indian style, and his partner's like, no, 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 no. He's got, like, a little microphone in his ear. He's like, no, 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 we don't say Indian style anymore. It's crisscross applesauce. So at least, like, this movie didn't totally rip off everything from the first one. There were some things that kind of did bother me, like at the beginning, like when they're interviewing the kids, one of the kids is like, my sister has a vagina. And that was like literally one of the first things that kind of introduce the kids, so I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, this is going to be fucking awful. And then it's sort of like, you know, I have to use the bathroom, and then, like, you know, Dolph Lundgren, like, takes her over to the sexy teacher who works down the hall, and that's how they meet. Only this time when Dolph Lundgren opens the door, she goes like, she peed on me, you know. So, I mean, it was a little different, but it was still the same formula. But the thing is, there was a lot about the movie that was different, and in that regard, I do have to give it its due credit. One thing in particular, I was expecting to be like the original, okay, because you find out that this girl, Molly, in his class, her father recently got fired or laid off from the New York Times, and the dude's kind of broke, and he's been drinking a lot of alcohol, so she comes in and she's really depressed. So Dolph Lundgren looks up this guy's story from the database, and or whatever, his partner finds information for him. So, you know, there's a scene where the daughter, you know, the father is walking away with the daughter after school, and Dolph Lundgren, like, runs up to them, and he goes, like, excuse me. Like, oh, here we go. Okay, he's the abusive alcoholic father, and Dolph Lundgren's gonna slug him in front of everybody. But actually, Dolph Lundgren basically said, you know, hey, look, you know, I've been there, I know what you're going through, but, you know, you just got to keep plugging along. And, you know, he goes like, at first the father's sort of like, all right, well, thanks, but, you know, whatever. Dolph Lundgren's like, look, like, I could probably get you a job somewhere. And the father's like, you do that for me? And Dolph Lundgren basically said, like, I do that for Molly, you know, kind of a thing. And I was like, okay. I'm like, all right, I appreciate that. That was actually cool that they did something a little bit different. Then there's a big chunk of the movie that's the relationship between Dolph Lundgren and the sexy younger teacher. And their date, he takes her to his place, which is a trailer. This is a dude who's, like, easily old enough to be your dad, who lives in a trailer, and she's having a great time, and she's complimenting, like, where did you get this land from? I mean, yes, it was, like, right on the water, but it's a fucking trailer. The whole time I'm watching this, I'm just like, I don't, like, buy any of this, but okay. So there's this whole thing that happens where they find out via, like, an actual code that the old teacher had left, like, where the flash drive is hidden. And while they're figuring this out on the board, okay, the kids are on a field trip, and Alexander Zogu has walked in with two of his thugs, fully armed, into a school, just like that. Nobody heard or said or stopped them, or, like, you know, they just waltz right in, and they find them literally figuring it out. They're basically like, oh, so flash drive is with children on field trip then? Because he hid it in, like, a time capsule that they were supposed to bury at this park that they went on the field trip. So now it's sort of like, haha, we've got pretty substitute teacher, get in car, we go get the, you know, so they drive off. And Dolph Lundgren's partner, they basically say, like, kill him, you know. So they walk off with the one henchman, again, totally open in the school with a gun, leading this guy down the hallway. And the dean that I, again, thought Dolph Lundgren was going to get with in the beginning, she comes out with a baseball bat and fucking cracks the henchman. And now, they do kind of joke about this in the movie, how long it takes the cops to get there, because basically his partner calls him from an Uber. And he's like, what are you doing, you know, what are you doing in the, you know, in an Uber? He's like, call for backup. And he goes like, I did call for backup. The Uber came faster. So, okay, I mean, a little joke there, but, like, seriously, where's the backup? So there's this whole, like, recurring theme in the movie where, what's-his-face, Dolph Lundgren is telling them about the Trojan horse. And the kids are, like, really intrigued by this. So there's this whole thing where, like, Dolph Lundgren and his sexy teacher and stuff, they're all basically about to get killed. And, like, the kids climb out from these, like, animals, like, it's like an animal playground, and they climb out from the bottom of it, and they all have sticks and stuff. And I'm like, dude, really? The fucking kids? I don't know, man. I something about that kind of bothered me a little bit. I was sort of like, they shouldn't have involved the kids with this part of the story. But maybe that's just because I'm getting older, and I don't know. I didn't like it, though. Yeah. But at any rate, Dolph Lundgren chases Alexander Zogu into the woods, and they're, like, in this, you know, river having, like, a fist fight, and that was pretty cool. It was like, you know, the last act of Lethal Weapon or something like that, and they start beating the shit out of each other, and Dolph Lundgren just, like, fucking, you know, punches this dude, and then he grabs him, and he flips him over, and BAM! He goes, class dismissed. And I was like, I'll allow it. I'll allow it. That was really, that was good. So, at any rate, Kindergarten Cop 2 really wasn't a good movie. Definitely not as good as the first one. If you haven't seen the first one, I would recommend watching that and then, like, maybe watching Kindergarten Cop 2. It really didn't have to be made. Everybody in it did fine, and it did really make an attempt to do something, like, a little bit different, but it just fell flat. Like, there was really nothing in it that made me laugh. The original Kindergarten Cop made me laugh, that movie, and this one is just kind of like, it's not like an insult of a movie, but it's just kind of whatever. But, hey, you know something? It's on Netflix. Watch it. You don't have to pay for it, right? Give it a shot. Maybe you disagree. Alright, guys. Until next time, that's all she wrote.